I want to share my story with you here. At 18, I entered the business world by starting to work in a textile workshop I inherited from my father. Back then, I was earning around $8 a day. I had no money in my pocket. I was struggling financially. And the only question in my mind was, will I be able to pay the rent this month? Of course, as I developed myself, I rose through the ranks. Today, I manage a textile factory with 340 people under my command. I moved to Dubai. I have a circle of wealthy people around me. My portfolio grows bigger every day, and I've completely left financial difficulties behind. Today, I'm going to tell you about a decision I made at a young age and how it affected my life, both the good and the bad. If you're ready, let's begin. Age 22. Same desk, same salary, same Monday morning. I want you to picture this in your mind. You've just gotten a job at a logistics company. You're working in an old office that smells of coffee and toner. Your manager is telling you something. Whatever it is, you've started working. The end of the month comes. You receive your first paycheck. Right at this point, two different paths begin to diverge. Path one, let's say this is a forward-thinking man. On the day he gets his paycheck, he sets aside a certain portion for investment and keeps the rest for himself. In the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, it's recommended to set aside 10% of your income for investment. But in my opinion, I'd encourage you to go beyond that number. I set aside between 20% and 30%. Imagine you open your computer and launch Excel. You write down your income, your fixed expenses, and your discretionary spending one by one. $740 rent, $500 in grocery costs, going out with friends once or twice a month, and so on. You build your plan around your expenses, and whatever is left, you allocate to investment. Before you know it, by the end of the year, you have $5,000 sitting in your investment account. Path 2. Now, let's say this person is someone who doesn't account for the future or hard times, someone who lives for immediate gratification. The end of the month comes. His paycheck hits his account, and the first thing he does is pay the installment on the latest model car he just bought. He has $800 in rent, grocery costs, fixed expenses. Half his salary is already gone. On top of that, this guy loves to enjoy himself. He goes to the bar 5 nights a week, always eats out, and has nothing left to set aside. If he gets fired or faces an unexpected situation like a car accident, he has no money in reserve to save him. And there's no way out. By the end of the year, he's either in the negative or his bank account is empty. Ages 23 to 24. Same raise, two different choices. Now, let's compare two people working at the same company in the same position, earning the same salary. Person one allocates even the raise added on top of his salary to investment. His portfolio grows automatically. He's learned something new about index funds. He looks at the expense ratio, moves his riskier holdings into a total market index fund. By age 25, he has a $10,000 investment account. When the market goes into a downturn, he doesn't panic and sell. He waits patiently and sees the market dip as a new buying opportunity. He researches how to put this money to work, consults with those around him. A colleague mentions a real estate license. He files that away in his mind, but doesn't rush. He needs to do his research. He moves through life taking steady, confident steps. Person two can't think rationally and keeps moving forward, driven by immediate gratification. He gets a new raise and goes out and buys the latest model phone on installment. Maybe he upgrades his car. Maybe he moves to a nicer apartment. He buys furniture on credit. He goes into debt and pays interest, and that interest compounds retroactively. His credit card limit goes up, but at the same time, both his credit score drops and his debt grows. He might need to work 6 months just to pay off his current debt. He has no savings account, no emergency fund, And if something goes wrong, like losing his job, he has no solution to pull himself out of the crisis. He's living life by chance. The difference between these two people is this. Person one lives with zero debt and peace of mind, with $10,000 in reserve for emergencies. Person two is the opposite. He spends everything he earns on consumption, has no savings, has nothing to save him in an unexpected situation, and on top of that, has installments and debts to pay. So let me ask you, which of these two people would you rather be? And remember, both are the same age, doing the same job, living in the same city, ages 25 to 27. The system gains its own momentum. When I first set up the factory, things were very tough. Business was tight, cash was tight. I had no experience in financial matters, and there was little margin for error. But as I dedicated myself to the work, I learned enormously. Then came the currency crisis that hit 4 years later, and it completely changed my perspective on money from top to bottom. I'm sharing what I know with you today so you don't have to go through the same hard roads I traveled. To make the topic clearer, I'll give two examples: Path A and Path B. Path A. You've turned 25. Your income has grown somewhat. You're moving to a new place. Your old rent was $740. Your new rent is $890. You negotiated for 14 months and got it down $40. The landlord happily agrees because he can't afford the unit sitting empty. You're contributing to your company's retirement plan. You put in 4%. Your employer matches 4%. Your monthly investment has reached $700. Your investment account and retirement account both look like fixed costs. That's where things stand. One evening, relaxing with a cup of coffee, you come across a listing, a duplex priced at $112,000. When you have a free moment, you go take a look. You like the unit. The one next door is vacant but rentable. You walk through it with the contractor. Average cosmetic costs come to around $7,400. It'll be ready in 6 months. You pay off your $3,000 student loan, clean up your credit file, and establish your income source. Within a year, you close on the duplex. Sale price $112,000. Down payment $21,500, equivalent to 19 months of savings. You didn't touch your investment accounts. Monthly mortgage $514. And after insurance, taxes, and a 10% maintenance reserve, that comes to $614. I'd encourage you to trust the math, but of course, the choice is yours. Path B. Now let me share the opposite scenario. You're 25, earning $52,000 a year, a nice amount for many people. Anyway, in February, you go to Cancun. You have money, but you add another $2,100 to your card and pay the minimum through April. Then a promotion comes within a year or two. Your salary climbs to $58,000. To celebrate, you invite your friends to dinner. The main course is $44. You put it on your rewards card. You earn points for the meal. It gives you a sense of, I won. You feel good. Your car loan is done. The car is finally yours. Then there's a new car lease, $421 a month. Early exit fee, $2,800. That clause you didn't read. Now you're 27 with nearly $7,000 in credit card debt, an $89 per month gym membership, and a $47 bundle subscription with 3 services you haven't opened in 6 months. Between debt service and subscriptions, you're paying $1,400 a month. In your savings account, $1,000. The entirety of a full year's savings. Everything feels fine. You're contributing to the retirement plan 2%, while your employer could match 4%. So every month, 2% stays on the table. Your life just quietly rots away. Ages 28 to 30, compound interest grows quietly. At 30, I lost a substantial sum of money in an unexpected currency crisis. It wouldn't have sunk me, but it wasn't a small amount either. That night, I couldn't sleep from the stress. I spent the whole night thinking. My next workday was unproductive because of the exhaustion, but that loss taught me a lesson I'll never forget for the rest of my life. I went on to study the stock market, real estate, currency management, and risk assessment. Path A. There are some issues with the property. The water heater breaks, repair cost around $800. The tenant pays rent late due to cash flow trouble. At the annual renewal, there's a rent increase. Your monthly cash flow is $700. You're 28 and your investment accounts have grown to nearly $50,000. Your individual retirement account has $25,000 accumulated. You've gained real experience at work and developed your skills. A new offer comes in. $75,000 salary. Your retirement contribution share goes from 4% to 9%. But here's what you must understand. Your lifestyle must stay the same. At the slightest income increase, you must not raise your standard of living. Math must be the center of your life. You're living in the same apartment, shopping at the same grocery store. The duplex brings in $700 a month. The second unit brings in roughly the same. At 30, you close on a 3-unit property. Total sale price, $150,000. And after expenses, your monthly income comes to around $1,500. Path B. You're 28, earning $65,000 a year. You have enough money, but you're not wealthy. You have an average life. You're living with a roommate, which means splitting all expenses, 2 incomes, 2 overlapping spending patterns. A year later, you and your roommate have a falling out and split up. Now you have to cover rent alone, $1,600 a month. You're bringing home $4,000 a month. The math gets hard here. You have $10,000 in credit card debt, savings are non-existent, and your retirement account has $12,000. When multiple things break at once, you're hit with major expenses. Call it $4,000. Add the 10% early withdrawal penalty, $400 plus taxes, $480, and you're left with $2,700. But you needed $3,200. You put the difference on a card. By age 30, you have around $14,000, a number that makes you feel bad, but you have no other choice. That's the reality. At 30, 2 very different accounts stand before you. Account A, approximately $70,000 in investments, $1,500 per month in real estate income. 2 properties, net worth approximately $140,000. Path B, a small retirement balance of approximately $9,000, $10,000 in credit card debt, $15,000 in car liabilities, net worth approximately $15,000. The gap between these 2 paths amounts to tens of thousands of dollars. At a 7% return, Path A's trajectory exceeds $500,000. Path B is standing still, treading water in debt, adding no real value to life. You draw your own path. Which of these 2 situations do you want to be in? That's in your hands. Ages 31 to 35. The system runs itself path. A, you're in your 30s now, with an established routine. You have 2 active properties. Your salary has climbed to nearly $90,000. At the start of each month, a portion of your earnings goes directly to your investment account, a portion to your individual retirement account, and the brokerage account sweeps up everything above expenses and reserves. At 33, you close on your 3rd property, a rental home in a growing suburb, sale price $186,000, which nets you $500 a month after expenses. Your net real estate cash flow is now $2,000 per month. At 35, your investment account holds $100,000. Your retirement account, $140,000. Your brokerage account, $60,000. Total investments approaching $300,000. The equity across your three properties is worth $120,000. Net worth, $410,000. Life moves along stably. No problems. A colleague asks about your financial situation over lunch. You tell him what you've been doing. Life flows on. Path B. At 31, you consolidate your credit card debts into a personal loan at 11.9% interest on a $9,200 balance. Monthly payment, $204. Paying off some of the debt makes you feel relieved. At 32, you get promoted and your salary rises. Then you decide you need to move to a nicer apartment, so your expenses rise too. Now you're in a better neighborhood, slightly more upscale, closer to the center, near shopping malls, maybe within walking distance of work. Nice perks, but not enough. An extra $300 per month in rent, $150 more in daily spending. At 34, you hit an unexpected misfortune. A medical bill comes in. Insurance partially covers the procedure, but you need $5,000. Money you don't have. You put it on a credit card at 22.99% interest. Life goes on, drowning in debt. At 35, the picture looks like this: $40,000 in your retirement account, $20,000 in credit card debt, $4,000 in a personal loan, no real estate to your name, no investment account, no brokerage. Net worth approximately $30,000. You go to work, come home, and burn through your paycheck paying debt and the interest that debt keeps generating. You have no emergency fund. You're living on the edge of a cliff, like a wounded wolf abandoned to a cruel fate. Ages 36 to 40, the gap is no longer invisible path. At 37, you decide to sell your home. The property has appreciated 31% over 10 years. After closing costs and the remaining mortgage, you walk away with $74,000 net. You're unsure how to deploy this capital and decide to move it into a 4-unit property in another market. No capital gains tax. Note, this may vary by region. You plan the structure of the sale ahead of time before listing. The new property generates an average of $1,500 per month in cash flow. Your real estate income is now approaching $3,000 per month. At 38, your salary has risen to $100,000. Your investment accounts are approaching $500,000. You have 4 properties with $240,000 in combined equity. Net worth, $720,000. You haven't spent money on a car? A modest, older used car does the job. You want to keep growing your money, so you hire a financial advisor? $5,000 per year. Your mind feels secure. You point to the depreciation schedule on your properties. Your annual taxable income drops by $40,000. The $5,000 fee saves you $10,000 in taxes per year. You decide to keep working with the advisor. Path B. At 36, you've paid off your loans. So psychologically, you feel at ease. You feel you deserve a reward and go to Italy. $5,000 goes on the credit card, which you plan to pay off over 3 months. Before long, you're unexpectedly laid off. 6 weeks of severance comes to $8,000 after taxes. You have $1,000 in savings and $50,000 in your retirement account, which you can't access without a penalty. You have to spend the severance carefully. The 6-week period stretches to 11 weeks. You need $4,000 to bridge the gap. You start a new job at $74,000, a step backward, but temporary. Car balance is at $3,000. Retirement account recovers to $60,000. You have a stable life, or at least that's how it feels. At 40, you have $60,000 in assets, living a real life on thin ice. Age 40, two different realities path. A, Monday morning. You wake up to go to work. You take your morning shower, then sip your coffee while opening your brokerage account. Balance, $540,000. Individual retirement account, $200,000. Investment account, $113,000. 4 properties with $240,000 in combined equity. Net worth has crossed $1 million. The properties generate $3,000 per month in passive income. Your salary is $100,000. You allocate 40% of your income to investments. On $840,000 in invested assets, historical compounding averages have earned you $60,000 this year while you slept. Your car's maintenance costs $3,000, which you cover from cash flow. In roughly 3 to 5 years, you could walk away from your salary. Running the model for age 44, investment income and real estate income combined would be enough to sustain your life. Your options are broader. You're where you want to be. Path B. You have $60,000 in assets. The vast majority in a retirement account you can't touch without a penalty for another 19 years. In your checking account, $2,000. In savings, $4,000. Rent, $2,000, rising each year by some inflation-linked percentage. A down payment would require 2 years of aggressive saving, but you don't have the discipline to pull that off. Credit card balance, $2,400. Minimum monthly payment, $68. Interest rate, 22%. Paying just the minimum would take about 11 years to clear. You intentionally pay the minimum because the budget is tight, because you're tired, because the money has been sitting there so long it doesn't feel like an emergency anymore. You've worked for years. You weren't lazy. You gave yourself 100% to your work, maybe. But somewhere you made a mistake. And that mistake was this. Instead of making money work for you, you lived a consumption-driven life. And so your life was spent paying off debt. The truth is this. We've reached the finale. The last thing I want to say is this. These two people worked at the same company in the same position for years, but their lives turned out completely different. One quietly managed his money, built his future, calculated his risks, and lived a calm life. The other's life passed drowning in debt year after year. When the currency crisis hit and I lost a large sum of money, that's when I began to think this way. The $200,000 I lost that day has since earned me thousands of dollars and allowed me to live a more comfortable life. That's the kind of people we are. We can't find the right path until something bad happens to us, unfortunately. But so that you don't have to be that way, I've given you 2 different roadmaps here. The choice is yours. What I've shared in this video is based on personal experiences in the financial world and is not financial advice. When making decisions on financial matters, please consult with a professional.